Every great TV show has a beginning.
But it's the finale that can leave its mark on television history.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Jeff, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast where we watch and discuss the pilots for shows while sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
But this month, we're doing things a little different. For the month of December, we're judging the series finales of some of our favorite shows that we've done on the pod.
And since we're covering series finales, we'll be delving much more into the series as a whole, so we must warn you, there are spoilers ahead. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Hi, how's it going, boo?
It is finally cold outside.
Oh, it's been chilly all day.
Yes.
I mean, not like in the morning it was chilly, and then by 8:30 it was
80
hot.
degrees, yeah, which is how it usually is. But we finally get to turn off this AC. We finally don't have to worry about too much noise interference. The last two recordings we didn't have the AC on, and they sound great. So
awesome.
It really does kind of make all the difference. But we live in a very hot, humid state, and so about 10 months out of the year, we have that AC going pretty much all day.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Here's hoping for a low electric bill next month.
Yes. All right, so what's been going on with you?
Well, I am getting ready to go on my girls' trip a week from today. And I did also have a little, I'm not going to call it medical, a dental issue come up. So I'll be going to the dentist before I cracked a tooth. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
So part of it broke. And then today, another quarter or half broke off. So now I have just a little bit of that tooth left. So
okay. Yeah.
It's gonna be fixed on Wednesday, and so here's hoping.
Sometimes, when you message me at work, I don't think you fully realize that a lot of times I'm kind of reading your messages kind of in a hurry or in a rush.
I know you are, but so what are you saying? I freak you out?
Sometimes you do, because this time, so you had kind of messaged me like we both do to each other. We kind of message each other like a little cluster of messages.
Yes.
We tend to do that. So when I opened my phone and I look, all I saw was your tooth. All I saw was your tooth on, I guess, the ottoman or on something.
The table. I was at the table.
On some surface, and that's all I saw. And then I think that was the reason why I responded with OMG. I think that's why I did, because I didn't read or see anything else. But then once I did, I saw the hole in your mouth. And I saw the hole in your mouth, and I was just like, oh my God. I was like, because I just know that can't. I've cracked a tooth before, and I just know that depending, it can be very painful. Just breathing in cold air can hurt.
What's really crazy is I am in no pain whatsoever. Knock on this table. I don't know why I'm not in any pain, because I mean, my sister was like, oh my God, it's going to be so painful. And I know I have a pretty high tolerance for pain generally.
Yeah.
But I would imagine any normal person, this would be hurting.
Yeah.
But I mean, so far it's not. And I haven't really, in fact, I broke it. I had stopped on the way back from the post office to get a breakfast burrito. So something, not crunchy, not really thick.
Yeah.
It's just eggs and a tortilla. And I felt something come off, and I was like, I think that's my tooth.
Yeah.
And then I swirled it around on my tongue and felt it, and was like, oh no. But I'm glad it's all happening before I leave, and that Dr. Leeson could see me and got me in.
I'm glad.
Yeah. But otherwise, no, just packing up for that. Just trying to do my usual while you're working on the weekend, clean around the house, run errands, and just wait to record on Saturday nights like we do.
Here we are. Yeah, we're going to be, after this, we're going to record our new intro, which you will have already heard by now, I'm sure, because this isn't going to be the first episode of the month. I've been having to say to myself, spoilers ahead. See, I can't even say it now. Spoilers ahead, because that's in the intro.
Oh,
I've been having to say it to myself, because for some reason I can't say spoilers. I'll say spoilers. I keep saying spoilers. Spoilers ahead, yo. Yeah, it's kind of what I sound
Jersey.
like. So I've been kind of saying spoilers to myself all day today, because
gotcha.
When we record like this, it's fine. But anytime we have to do like an intro where we're reading off of something, like we're reading, for some reason, I just turn into
A fumbler.
I stutter. Yeah, I would start stuttering. I'll start stammering. I don't know what it is about cold reading that freaks me out. But
you do.
yeah, because like when we're recording like this, I'm fine. And when
Yeah.
I'm reading the plot summary, I'm fine. I mean, sometimes I talk too fast, but
Yes,
like
you do.
other than that, like
You don't breathe when you're reading.
Yeah.
And you tend to read really fast.
oh yeah, I remember like being in, and it's something that I've been working on because it was something that when I was in school, I would always get told that. Like my teachers were always like, "You're a really good reader. You just read really fast." And I'm just like, yeah.
And then you don't breathe. So
Right.
it all like converges
Oh yeah.
on you.
Oh, trust me, I know. I'm the one experiencing it. All right, so we are. I almost said we're in November. We are in December,
Yes.
and we are continuing our series finale month, which has been a really, I will say, it has been a really emotional viewing for the most of the shows that we've watched. It's been
Oh,
a pretty
yeah.
emotional, much different than a pilot. I feel like most of the time the pilots that we watch usually keep us in a pretty like upbeat, maybe more on like the inspiring side, maybe a little bit more on the positive side. But with series finales, while they can be positive, you are just constantly met with the emotions of, like we just watched. So today we are doing Schitt's Creek, and before recording, we just rewatched the series finale just so I can finish the plot summary. And while doing the plot summary, I started tearing up. So it was just kind of like, it's just such a sweet ending. And we have many other like I teared up during the Wonder Years. I mean, like
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't help myself. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one more of these. I'm glad we're not doing the Superstore one. I'd be a wreck
Oh,
reading that.
I cried. I
yeah.
still cry at times of
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, we'll watch it on YouTube sometimes. We'll just watch the final
Yeah,
scene and get a
Garrett
little
reading.
get a little verklempt. Yeah, so we are doing Schitt's Creek today. The name of the episode is Happy Ending. And
A little double entendre there, as you'll hear during the episode summary.
And we had a lot of fun watching this one. It always brings back memories of watching this during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of our pandemic shows, which we'll talk about in a second. But for now, Anna's going to give us some episode and series information. Get that yawn out.
Oh yeah, gotta get the yawn out because the cold weather too. Plus, I
You
yawn a
don't
lot.
yawn all day.
I know.
And then I don't know what it is about reading. Maybe it's the oxygen that you're breathing in. It just makes you
Maybe.
yawn. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
very cute though.
All right, Schitt's Creek, happy ending. All right, just as a reminder, Schitt's Creek was a Canadian sitcom that aired on the CBC TV in Canada and on Pop TV in the U.S. from 2015 to 2020 for 6 seasons with a total of 80 episodes. The series was created by father-son duo Eugene and Dan Levy, who also played Johnny and David Rose. The series finale aired on April 7th, 2020. Unlike other shows that we're covering this month, Schitt's Creek wasn't canceled but ended naturally. When the series was renewed for 2 seasons after season 4, Dan Levy began planning how the series would end. And he stated in an interview that he didn't want to compromise the quality of the show by stretching it out further than it needed to, which I can really appreciate. I mean, it definitely, obviously, didn't do the whole famous jump the shark.
Right.
Like he planned this 2 years in advance. And even though the show didn't reach international popularity until it was about to end, Levy stuck to his guns and ended the series. I mean,
that's what's
so many people begged him.
Yeah,
for
that was
another-
what was so crazy about Schitt's Creek. I think that's what makes this show so special is that people really didn't discover it until it was almost over.
Yeah.
Especially in America when it got added to Netflix, and then all of a sudden it was like the second to last season. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, this show's amazing!" And then the final season, like literally, it's like the most popular show on Netflix, and they're like, "Oh no, this is the last season." And we're all like, "What?" We
Right.
just started watching this show. I don't
And-
even think they had added the last 2 seasons on Netflix at that point in time. I think we were just watching because we had to go on poptv.com and watch the
Yes.
final season.
Yeah, because I mean that was during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
so it was definitely a pandemic show that people found.
Yeah.
Or I mean, obviously other people in Canada were watching
Mm-hmm.
it, but here in the U.S., I think it was a definite pandemic show.
Oh, 100%.
The cast of the series remained pretty much the same throughout the show's run. Eugene Levy played Johnny Rose, Catherine O'Hara as Moira Rose, Dan Levy as David Rose, Annie Murphy as Alexis Rose, Emily Hampshire as Stevie Budd, Jennifer Robertson as Jocelyn Schitt, Sarah Levy as Twyla Sands, Chris Elliott as Roland Schitt. The only character in the main cast in the final season that wasn't in the pilot was Patrick Brewer, played by Noah Reid.
We love Patrick.
Oh, yeah. Many of the recurring characters appeared in the series finale with the exception of Ted Mullins, played by Dustin Milligan, who was Alexis's fiance boyfriend.
And their final scene together was one of, if not like probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire and like Eugene Levy they said that he was off camera just bawling and he was just like pretty good, no, he was like, he said pretty funny, like trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
The series finale centers around the Rose family as they all begin a new chapter in their lives and split up for the first time since they moved to Schitt's Creek. You can currently watch the entire series on Hulu and Freevee.
So when I was writing the plot summary, I when I was typing up the whole thing, actually, when I added the part about how the show ended naturally, that kind of got me thinking, like, is there a list or is there like a ranking of the best TV shows that ended when they were like that ended at the right time? Okay. I guess so. Like that kind of, they ran its course, they knew it, and they didn't, like you said, jump the shark. Like maybe shows like As Much as I Love It, shows like The Office or How I Met Your Mother, or maybe even like The Sopranos that just like went on
too long
for way too long, and as you said, jump the shark like probably they did in MASH and Happy Days, which is where Jump the Shark came from.
Yes.
All right, so there is a list, of course. There's a ranking for everything on the internet, and so you're gonna love some of these. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. So
these are the shows that ended at the right time.
That ended at the right time. Yes, ended when they were supposed to. I guess
Gotcha.
that's a good way to put it.
All right.
So Schitt's Creek was like top of the list.
Got it.
We have Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Succession.
Okay.
Atlanta.
We never watched that one yet.
I have.
Okay.
I've watched some of it. Fleabag, which we've never watched, which we'll probably be watching at some point. Girls.
Yes.
Parks and Rec. And Superstore.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Superstore was on this ranking. Superstore was number one.
Oh wow, yeah.
Superstore was number one. Schitt's Creek was number two. Breaking Bad was number three.
It's up there. I mean, it definitely was a great way to end, but it was at the right time.
Yeah.
Girls, that just teaser that is coming maybe in 2025, but
and by maybe it's coming in 2025.
Yes. Part of Anna month. But and then that series finale might be one we do in December of 2025 because we will have covered it in 2025 of Anna month. But so I would agree with that one. It was close to going on too long, but I think she realized it. I think Lena Dunham realized it.
Because, I mean, that would be a good series finale to cover because that was a very controversial one.
Oh, yeah.
It's very polarizing. I think the polarizing is a better word than controversial.
Yeah.
But looking at all these and even the ones that I haven't seen, obviously, but yeah, Parks and Rec, I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah, they really kind of did a good job of telling their story, and the final season's so good. So
Breaking Bad, oh my god,
that is,
so
I mean, that's hands down considered one of the best series finales of all time.
God.
It ended.
I can watch that one anytime.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's another one we might have to do next year. Yeah. So next year for series finales, I already know I want to do Melrose Place and I want to do Lost.
Okay.
Those are
you've got to get started on watching Lost. All right. So for the series finales that we're doing this month, some of them we kind of have questions for, like we always do, and telling stories. But really this month we're doing a lot of like reflecting, I guess is a good way to put it. Because this is such a busy month for us, and in January we're having such a busy time. We don't know how long these episodes are going to be. I say that, and then we talk for an hour and 15 minutes, but like, I honestly feel like these episodes aren't going to be as long as you're used to, but we're still going to give you 100%. We're still going to give you everything we got. We're not going to half-ass it because that's not our style. So yeah, I think on this
particular episode, we really kind of just want to talk about maybe why we love the show so much. But we kind of talked about it in the original episode, but we really wanted to not delve into it too much because we were talking about the pilot. Obviously, that's the whole basis of our podcast. But we don't want to give too much away. We don't want to give too much spoilers. So we really kind of have to hold back our kind of like fandom for it. And and so I think for these episodes, I know we've already recorded 2, but for kind of the remainder of these episodes, I think we're both going to be really delving into why one of us really loves this show or why we both love this show, what this show means to us. And I think that's so that's what we kind of got going on for this one. So I think we're just really going to talk about our favorite episodes, favorite moments, characters. So my first question is, do you have a favorite Moira wig?
Oh my gosh.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I know. I'm trying to think. I mean, there were so many. I mean, I think any of the ones that were a different color.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were all just great.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved, really, I will say, her and David's black and white aesthetic.
Yeah.
I mean,
same.
that to me was really more, and then that they stuck to that throughout the entire series.
I low-key love David's style of dressing. Not personally, like I wouldn't dress that way because I couldn't pull it off, but I love what was the type of outfit that he was wearing when he did the Simply the Best lip sync for Patrick?
The
it was
leather
like a leather sweater.
Yeah.
I just love that, and I was just like, man,
in like the summer.
Right. And so I think my favorite wig, and actually it's in this episode, one of them is in this episode. It's at the very beginning where she has the short blonde wig with like the pink and the blue stripes in it.
Yeah.
But then there's the one that I really, really love where she has the emo hair, where she has like the short black wig with the red bangs, with the red
swoosh.
Yes. That's my favorite one, of course, because, that's my era. But yeah, I'm with you on the outfits too. I mean, I'm trying to think of, there was this like black and white pants, like dress suit that Moira wore one time. I think it had like birds on it. I really like that. It was like white with black birds.
Was it the Crowaning?
It may have been like during that era, just for like a shout out, but like I'm trying to remember like when it was. But yeah, I just love, I love black and white clothing.
I give mad props to her for a lot of the shoes she wore as well. I mean, I'm not being ageist or anything, but Catherine O'Hara is not young. I'm assuming she's in her 70s.
Yeah.
Like at least late 60s maybe. And she was rocking some platform shoes. And, granted, I'm sure like on set, she was probably putting them on like 5 minutes before she actually had to like do a scene or something. But those things, I would imagine, are not very easy to walk in or even just stand in for long periods of time. So I give a lot of props to just Catherine O'Hara rocking not just the wigs, not just the outfits, but also the shoes. Because that's not easy. I trip in flats. So
I mean, I've never worn heels, but they don't look easy to walk in.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so. If you had to pick like one favorite character, do you think you could?
No.
Do you have is this one of those shows where like everyone's your favorite? You love everybody in their own way for the most part?
Yes. I love them all because I feel like every person on the show was someone we've met in our life.
Right.
You know, like they all represented like a person or a feeling or just someone we met along the way in our life that was just a positive person. Because I think that's what made Schitt's Creek really special was, I think Dan Levy said it best in like one of like the end of series interviews that we've watched on YouTube, was that everybody just loved everyone. There was no judgment in Schitt's Creek, because I think like the interviewer had asked him like, oh, did you ever think about writing anything negative about you and Patrick's relationship?
Making like a episode about like homophobia or something like that.
And he goes, no, because in Schitt's Creek, there's only love.
He wanted to create a universe instead of reminding us of the universe that we live in. He wanted to create a universe that everyone just accepts everyone and there's not even like a second thought about it, which
Right.
is the way we should live our lives, and that's the way the world should be, but it's not, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think just creating such a universe of such lovable characters is
Yeah.
just something that is not easy to do, and it's not easy to pull off. I can't think of a lot of shows where I'm sitting there like, I know some people, are like, oh, well, I guess if I had to pick someone, I don't like Bob, or if I had to pick someone, I don't like Ronnie, or something like that. And to me, I'm just like, but even like the annoyingly quirky people are still adorable and likable and lovable in their own way.
Because even certain scenes had them in it, it would have totally changed that scene
Right.
without them in it.
Mhm.
And so I think that's what's also really fun, is to look back and look throughout all of the episodes. And I've watched Schitt's Creek probably in its entirety at least twice.
Yeah.
And then there are several episodes that I know I could easily count that I've watched 50 times.
Yeah, oh yeah, same. I mean, we're
so-
together usually when we watch them, so yeah.
I think that's what's fun, is that I don't get tired of any of them.
Same.
None of them do I ever go, I know this whole like episode was ruined because of that, or
Right.
this person, or that happened, and there's not. I mean, because I could go back and watch all of this all over again
easily.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
So
Is there a character that you relate to most?
oh gosh. I mean, I think that's also hard as well. I don't know if I think we asked each other like which one would we say we are
Yeah.
when we first did this. And kind of going to the end of the series, because at first you, I think, asked that question like on the pilot, was there one that you related to? And I initially had said it was Johnny, because I would be the one with the plan,
Right.
and I would be thinking like, how do we make money, or how do I make money? What do I need to do to get a job? Where I think I loved Alexis at the end.
I knew you were going to say Alexis, yeah.
Because I feel like,
There's a parallel there.
well, a little bit of just going off and
Yeah.
doing your own thing and leaving your family.
Yeah.
And yeah. But I mean, also about the love. I mean, I wasn't leaving a guy at the time, but taking off for Seattle
Yeah.
and kind of surprising my family and really a lot of my friends, because I think when I told people I was moving to Seattle, people were like, you're leaving the South? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like this, we never thought this would have like,
You're moving
what?
you're moving to the Pac NW?
Yeah. So I feel like that was definitely relatable, but she also wanted to do things on her terms.
Yeah.
And, there were a couple of episodes before all of this that she had the opportunity to take an easy job or to have a friend help her.
Yeah.
And that would have been easy. That would have been old Alexis, would have
Right.
been for the quick fix and the quick money and the quick, like, lavish luxury life.
The easy way out.
But she decided
Yeah.
to tough it out and make her own name and her own stamp on whatever it was that she was going to do, and not just because of friends, but also because of her dad. I mean, she could have easily just been like, okay, I'm going to just now be part of this hotel business.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to do that. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love that about her. So what
Yeah.
about you?
Well, I think in the pilot, I don't remember exactly who I said, but I remember mentioning like Stevie, relating to Stevie, because I think we were kind of all meant to relate to Stevie in the pilot, because we're kind of watching this insanity of these people
Yeah.
that are so entitled and privileged, who are I think David in the pilot, David asked Stevie like where like the business center was,
Yeah.
and like stuff like that, and I'm wanting extra pillows and extra blankets and all of that. But as the series progressed and more characters were introduced, I feel like I am, even though he wasn't in the series finale, I really relate to Ted a lot. Just because, he loves animals. He's a veterinarian, and he also and I think also is why I relate to Patrick in a sense, is like, I feel like I am married to such an outgoing person. You are very outgoing. You are very approachable. You're very infectious. Like, people, you're just someone that, like, I think people just always want to be around you, and people always want to hang out with you because you're just a really fun person.
Aww.
And that's very Alexis. And then also, you are a little bit of David, where you are, and you don't freak out the way David does, obviously, but in a sense of, like, you're always kind of bouncing from one idea to the other, especially when we're, like, trying to make travel plans or we're trying to make kind of plans in general.
What?
And I feel like I'm always the one that is like, all right, like, let's rein it in a little bit. Let's, stop changing your mind constantly. Let's figure it out. I'm not saying that I'm, like, the mature, responsible one, because I think we're both mature and silly in our own way.
So are you still saying you feel still like Stevie?
No, not really. I feel like I relate. Stevie, I mean, I think, like, we all relate to Stevie. I think that's kind of the point of her character is, like, she's the fly on the wall in a lot of the confrontations and a lot of the juicy stuff where she's just, like, kind of making her little commentary.
Right.
And
David, she's
David,
the one we all want to be.
And David is just like, you are not helping, because she's never helping, because that's the point.
Yeah.
I think we all relate to Stevie. I think I can be bold and say that. But I think with Ted and Patrick, I just really relate to them because they're both really just kind of, well, Ted's just kind of like just very, I guess, like, just compared to Alexis, just a lot more introverted and a lot more, like, chill and a lot more, like, give him a few drinks and he's, like, ready to socialize and party and talk to everyone. That's how I am, so yeah, I think that. But in the end, I think we're all meant to relate to Stevie. I think she's meant to speak for everyone in the audience, because she is commentating on the insanity. So do you have, I mean, I know the answer to this, but do you have, like, favorite episodes, favorite moments?
Of course.
Yeah, what are some of them?
Olive Branch. There is open mic night.
Mm-hmm.
I do love, okay, I'm going to get them all mixed up now that you're asking me show names. It's really like that whole series, like Asbestos Fest.
There's the barbecue.
The barbecue.
I know you like that one.
I love the one when they're babysitting, of course, because, you're going to have crawling pneumonia.
Crawling pneumonia. You tell me that all the time.
I tell you that all the time, that you're going to get crawling pneumonia. I do love, obviously, the episode with it's like dinner night or family dinner.
Yeah.
Folding in the cheese when they're making enchiladas.
Enchiladas.
Fold it in. How do you fold it in?
That was
break it in half.
That was a group inside joke for a really long time. Yeah,
I mean, they're memes, they're gifs. I mean, it was famous, and I think what I loved about that was it was a very true dynamic of parent and child trying to do something together. Mind you, these were two people who did not know what they were doing, versus, like, say, someone like me and my mom, who were both very good in the kitchen, and she wouldn't just like the way that I was doing it and would tell me to do it differently or something.
Right.
So, like, that's not how you do it. Do it like this. And I'm like, it's the same way. It's going to all end up the same. So, I mean, I thought that scene was just very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other episodes.
I just really enjoyed all of the stuff when they did Cabaret. Yes. I really enjoyed all of that. And then there's the hike when Patrick proposes to David.
Is it the Hospies when they go to the hotel awards? Yeah, I think that one was that one was a good one.
Yeah.
So you like the hike? The hike was good.
Yeah, and there are certain, like, moments and dynamics that I really loved. I loved anything involving the Jazzagals.
Oh yeah.
Any of that stuff, like when Johnny briefly joins the Jazzagals for that one. The Jazzaguy for that one scene in that one episode. Yeah, I mean, like, they're always, like, I think I'm the same as you, where it's like I remember moments more than I remember, like, episode names. Like, I think just because we binge it so much that it's hard to keep track of, like, which episode is which. But yeah, I think, and then there's the dead guy in room 4, like that episode. That's a good one.
I love pregnancy test.
Yeah, that's where
that whole series.
I think that's season 3 or 4, one of those.
Yeah, that's like that whole, like, that whole stream that I can, like, watch without fail. And it also puts me to sleep because it's such a comfort to me.
Right.
Because I know it so well.
It's one of our comfort shows.
So yeah, that whole, like, series of episodes really make me like just I can watch them all the time.
Are you looking up episode titles?
Yeah, I'm looking up some of the episode titles but I think we've covered it. And
yeah,
again,
I think we did.
I mean, housewarming.
Oh, that's such a good one. Yeah, that's such a good one. I was like, I know we're forgetting another like big one.
Yeah, that one was hilarious.
I love
when Ted and Patrick and Alexis kiss, and she takes off her shoes, and he's like, "Was that necessary?"
Yeah.
Or what?
Yum.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like, again, it's like hard to pick your favorite child if you had one, because I love all of the episodes.
Yeah, there was an episode I really loved. It was when the kids are shoplifting from the apothecary, and Alexis is trying to like prove to them that, like, because the kids will come in and like kind of suck up to David. Yeah, kind of sweet talk them, and they're kind of falling for it, and Alexis is like, no, they're stealing, and she like kind of tells them. And yeah, I think that's a really funny episode. But yeah, I mean, like, this is one of those shows where you could just kind of continue to name episodes, and they're all great.
Baby Sprinkle.
Oh yeah,
the
that's a great
Rollout, Singles Week.
Stop saying
obviously.
Rollout. Yeah.
Stop saying Rollout. Merry Christmas, Johnny Rose.
Oh yeah, you used to watch that one a lot.
Yeah, that whole like season 4 is really good.
The whole thing when Alexis planned the dating thing, and that the Merry Christmas one. That Singles Week. There it is. Yeah.
The Hospies. There's Rock On when they go to the concert at the casino.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them are so good. It's like really hard to pick a favorite. So yeah. I mean, I would just say seasons 1 through 6 are my favorite.
Every episode.
One.
So we said earlier that we just we didn't discover it, obviously. I say discover with quotations because we were recommended this show. We had our friend Wes and his partner at the time came over and told us about this show, and they kind of turned it on for us. We started watching it, and then after they left, we just kept watching it. And the whole group was watching it by the end of that week. Were there other shows that you remember kind of discovering, or movies that you remember discovering during the pandemic?
God, I don't know.
There was Tiger King.
Oh my God, how could I forget that one?
Was Love is Blind a pandemic find?
I think that might have been.
So for me personally, and maybe for you because you didn't watch the seasons, I started watching Big Brother during the pandemic. That was my kind of show that I started watching.
I had already watched that.
That's what I'm saying. It was like the seasons you hadn't seen, but yeah, like, because I think the season of the challenge that aired during the pandemic had people from season 20 of Big Brother, had like Casey and Fessy and Bailey and Swaggy, and so I was like, oh, okay, let me check this out. And you were always like telling me like you used to love Big Brother, you used to watch it all the time. And so then I started watching season 20, and I just started going backwards, and I started watching season 19, 18. Then I watched season 17, and I was like, this is my favorite season. But yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, I remember. Well, it wasn't a movie that I liked, but The Empty Man was like the big movie during the pandemic in the theaters.
I know one, The Queen's Gambit.
Oh
although that only had like one season, I think.
Yeah, it was like a
mini series. Yeah. So that one was one. I think Ted Lasso became popular during the pandemic, but we didn't watch it until like later. Yeah, we watched a few episodes.
We watched the first episode.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first. I was actually going to be one of the first shows that we were going to do for this podcast, but we were doing Friday Night Lights in the same month, and we were like, okay, that's a little too similar.
Yeah.
Even though one's a comedy, but yeah, it was just a little too similar. So yeah. You want to get into this plot summary?
Let's do it.
All right. Once again, I say we're not going to have enough time, and here we are.
Yeah.
We know how to chit chat, and I don't even have it written down. But so for Schitt's Creek happy ending plot summary, I feel like it is important to kind of, because it's in the second to last episode where everyone kind of figures out where they're going. So in the second to last episodes, we have Johnny, Moira, David, and Alexis are all kind of planning to move to New York together.
Yes.
And Patrick obviously too. But there's a little bit of resistance because David finds out that Patrick has been looking at this house that's kind of like a dream house of David's that is in Schitt's Creek. He said that it reminds him of Kate Winslet's house in The Holiday.
Oh yeah,
Which
which is one of my favorite movies.
When you see it, it kind of does. It's very like cottage looking, but yeah. So they decide to stay in Schitt's Creek, and also there's a really sweet scene where Stevie very clearly doesn't want David to leave because they're best friends and her only friend, if you kind of want to get technical, and then there's you couldn't have waited.
I'm hungry.
We just ate dinner.
Stop it.
I know, it's just really funny. You just covered your mouth like you're trying to get away with chewing while we're recording.
I'm sorry. I
It's
was
okay.
eating a cookie.
It's really it's funny.
Okay, now I'm going to eat it since you
Okay.
are enraged
All
with
right,
me.
we're going to sit here in silence while you do it. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. All right, so then so David and Patrick decide to stay in Schitt's Creek with Stevie, continue running the store. And then at the very last minute, Moira gets offered the role in her old soap opera that's now being rebooted. I forgot the name of it. It's like Sunset Bay or something like that. And they're originally were going to move to New York, but now they're going to move to LA. And so now Alexis, now that she's newly single, she decides that she is still going to move to New York and she's going to go by herself, and she is going to Sex and the City it and kind of just be her own independent woman. And that
Absolutely.
so that going into the finale, I just feel like it's important to kind of
set all that up.
set all that up. So here we go.
All right.
Happy ending. It is the day of David and Patrick's wedding. David is awoken by his family members to inform him that a huge storm came through town and flooded the outdoor venue where the wedding was located. And to top it off, the wedding officiant, a haikuist named Fabian, who only travels by penny farthing, which is probably the funniest thing I could possibly think of. Do you know what a penny farthing is?
I have no idea.
It is those really old school bicycles where they have one giant wheel in the front and then one tiny wheel in the back.
Gotcha.
So just the idea that this person only travels this way is just perfect for, I guess, for the show and for David. So since he only travels by this very antique bicycle, he can't come into town because it's flooded. Johnny volunteers to be an officiant, but is immediately shut down because everyone says he wouldn't be able to make it through without sobbing. The obvious choice for a wedding officiant is Moira. She reminds everyone that she officiated Pat Sajak's first wedding and killed it with the line, "Can I buy a vow?" which is pretty great.
That was cute.
Johnny promises David that he'll find an indoor venue. A little later, at Patrick and David's apartment, David is in a full panic. Patrick tries to reassure David by reminding him that the only thing that matters is they will be married by the end of the day, which is true. Patrick tells David he's going back to the motel to help Johnny sort things out. Meanwhile, Patrick has booked a massage for David, something he had planned months ahead of time because he knew David was going to be in a full panic no matter what was happening. Back at the motel, Moira is writing out her ceremony when Alexis walks in. Moira compliments Alexis, and then Alexis starts to get emotional when she realizes that they won't be next door to each other anymore. And, sorry, I lost my place. And she will miss her. Moira tells Alexis not to get emotional before the ceremony and insists that absence will make the heart grow fonder. Alexis reminds her they used to go months, even once a full year, without seeing or speaking to each other. Alexis says that she's glad they lost all their money because it made them become a family again, which was a really sweet moment. They hug, and Alexis tells her mom that she loves her very much. And then Alexis gives her mother one last boop on the nose. Boop.
Yep, that's throughout the whole episode. She's booping everyone.
Back at the apartment, David is getting a massage by a handsome... this is a handsome dude. David is loving it, and then when he rolls over on his back, the masseuse surprised David with a happy ending. If you don't know what that is, I'm not telling you. If you don't know what it is, you can't afford it.
Google it.
Johnny, Patrick, and Stevie, along with Roland, Jocelyn, Twyla, Ronnie, and Ray, are at the outdoor venue trying to figure out a place to relocate the wedding. Roland suggests the town hall, and despite it not being the ideal place, Patrick agrees. Patrick and Stevie arrive at the apartment to a very relaxed David, expecting him to freak out. David is actually okay with the wedding being at town hall, and David says that all he cares about is getting married and everyone having fun. Patrick and Stevie are surprised and relieved that David is being so accepting of the change of plans. Patrick says that the massage really must have really helped. David confirms this and tells him that he had never received a happy ending before and was surprised Patrick ordered it.
Oh my God.
Patrick, of course, didn't know that was part of the deal. Stevie is just there loving it.
Yep,
loving
being
every
the sideline, commentator.
Kind of being the, oh, I should go, and then sits down.
Yeah.
One of those things. Patrick is very adamant that a happy ending was never discussed, but then realizes context is everything because Patrick just handed this dude an envelope full of cash and said to take extra special care of David, which could have been interpreted in a way of receiving a happy ending. So now everyone in town is helping at town hall. Johnny thanks everyone for their help, but then they have a quick little sweet moment where he thanks everyone in town for kind of just helping them get through all of the hard times that they faced since arriving at the town. That everyone has always been so supportive and everyone has just been so accepting of them despite being so different, and that they really have come to love all these people and become a big part of the town itself. David goes to the motel to meet up with Alexis, who is taking him to the wedding. Alexis exits the bathroom, and David sees her in a white dress that, it's a wedding dress. It's so, it's very Alexis, so funny. David, the massage,
has worn off.
The massage has worn off, which Stevie says, and David begins to freak out. And David keeps reminding her that, Alexis, you are walking me down the aisle. We are going to look like we're getting married to each other because you are in a wedding dress. And basically, Alexis is just like, oh my God, chill out. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Let's all toast, have some champagne. So the wedding has finally come. We're at town hall. The wedding is finally here. All of the Jazzagals are on the ends of the aisles. And they all stand up and all kind of line up against the wall. And they start singing "Precious Love" by James Morrison, which is a really sweet song.
Oh yeah, it was good.
I listened to the actual song not too long ago, and I was like, oh, this is a really cute song. Just very positive, very sweet.
Yeah.
And of course they sound great. The Jazzagals, kind of the joke is that they're this kind of ragtag a cappella group, but they sound amazing in this episode. I guess that was the point. Moira walks down the aisle. Moira walks down the aisle, and there's no other way to describe it. She looks like the Pope.
Oh yeah,
she's wearing a Pope hat. Yeah. It's a very fashionable Pope hat, I will say.
With her wig,
with the blonde looking things that are wrapped around the headdress, and then this long blonde haired wig, which of course she's gonna go all out.
Of course.
And then Johnny and Stevie walk down the aisle together, which this duo, probably one of my favorites of the show. I loved their dynamic throughout the whole thing, becoming business partners, becoming kind of having this father-daughter dynamic. Stevie being, I think, kind of very similar to Johnny. I think they just kind of always kind of gravitated towards each other. And then Johnny kisses her on the forehead, which was another sweet. Very sweet. And the real Emily Hampshire in real life is she's a softie. She's the exact opposite of her character. She's a big softie, and you can kind of just see the real her in this episode. And her just I don't think she was not crying throughout this entire scene.
I don't know how they actually finished filming it ever.
David and Alexis are about to walk down the aisle. Alexis finally realizes that she's wearing a wedding dress. She's like, "No, I think they're going to think that we're getting married." And she kind of apologizes, and she's just like, "I just feel like I'm ruining your wedding." And David's like, "No, my wedding's already ruined. Everything has gone wrong. This isn't the worst thing that's going to happen." And then David says, for what it's worth, let me get this right. For what it's worth, he is continuously impressed with her. And then Alexis gives David one last boop on the nose.
Yep.
And then before making their grand entrance. While the Jazzagals sing, of course, "Simply the Best" by Tina Turner as they walk down the aisle, Roland confirms that David and Alexis look like they're marrying each other.
Of course.
Aside from that line, it's just really hard not to get emotional at
our
this
hearts
scene.
Were in our throats.
I think I'm going to keep it together for this episode, but yeah, just that song and just everything kind of culminating in this ending, it was just it was perfect. I think that's a good way to sum it up. Moira begins the ceremony and immediately begins to break down.
Oh, God.
This is probably my favorite scene in the whole episode because she does the thing that, like, when we're trying to not cry or when we're trying not to, like, let it out, we keep changing the volume and the octaves of our voice to not start crying.
Right.
Which Catherine O'Hara is a genius, is a comedic genius anyway, but, like, she just does this so perfectly. And I'm just, of course, the first time we're watching this, and even just watching it just now, we're both cracking up at it. Catherine O'Hara is just
simply the best.
Is a Canadian treasure. She's a North American treasure. So her speech is very sweet. I'm not going to obviously repeat it because she does it in her own cadence and in her own way. I'm not even going to try to imitate it. But it's just pretty much all about fate and never knowing where life is going to lead you, which is true. And she makes a comment about, like, Patrick and David are soulmates and found each other by a flap of a butterfly wing. If they never lost their money, if they, all this chain of events led to David finding his soulmate. And it's very, very sweet, very, I'm going to go ahead and say very unlike Moira for the most part, because she's very, like, stoic and very, I'm not going to say serious because she's very silly, but, like, she thinks she's serious and she thinks she's very aloof, but she's, very over the top.
It's her bebe.
It's her bebe, a bebe of crows. David and Patrick begin their vows, their own vows, which they have written themselves. Patrick goes first, and then, of course, he has to sweep David off of his feet by singing Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey, just enough to make David lose it. And then David begins his own vows. David begins his vows. He tells Patrick, and this is when I kind of started to tear up because this speech reminds me of how I feel about this beautiful woman sitting across from me.
Boo.
David says, he tells Patrick that he's never loved a smile more. I said I wasn't going to lose it. I'm about to. He tells Patrick that he's never loved a smile more than his, has never felt safer than with him, and has never known love like when they're together. And no matter how hard life gets, knowing that Patrick is by his side, he knows everything will be okay. He tells Patrick that he's his happy ending, which obviously they kind of grin at each other. And, of course, Stevie's in the background, like,
cracking
smiling, a nod to earlier in the episode, obviously. And they exchange rings and, like, do you take this person, the I do stuff. Moira continues to lose it, continues to change the volume and the octave of her voice. Is very funny. David and Patrick are now married. It is the next morning. Johnny and Moira are now leaving for Los Angeles. David, Alexis, Patrick, and Stevie see them off. They all exchange hugs and give tearful goodbyes. Johnny and Moira leave while the other four watch them. As Johnny and Moira leave town, Johnny stops the car to look at the town welcome sign one last time. And then they drive off.
End of episode.
End of series.
End of series. And thank you for saying that you loved my smile like David loves Patrick's smile, especially right now that I have a broken tooth.
Well, it doesn't matter how many teeth you have. I still love your smile and I love your face. All right. I mean, this show's perfect. I mean, like, this show's
and everything
perfect.
In between, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, I love your list of shows that ended right when they were supposed to. And I think if the fans begged and got another season, I don't know what else they would have done in that season. Like, it was perfect.
That's what happened with Community, and no one watched the final season. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of how it is.
And, like, didn't that happen with Scrubs? Like, didn't you see? Yeah. So.
Oh, Scrubs I can't believe I've never even, we talked about it when we talked about our favorite series finales, but Scrubs had, like, such an amazing ending. Such a perfect, amazing ending, and then they ruined it by having this random spinoff that only lasted, like, 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And it just really kind of just cheapened that final episode, which I played for you, and it was a really sweet scene. Yeah. Peter Gabriel singing, he's one of my favorites. So, I mean, like, yeah. But Schitt's Creek, however, is perfect. They ended it right when they needed to. It never got stale. It never got old. And we are still loving it to this day because we still watch it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, I always jinx us. I guess it's a good thing because I was like, we're not going to have much to talk about. And here we are. It's almost
an hour.
Almost an hour. All right. So I think we're going to wrap this up. We need to record our intro, and I'm ready to get in bed. So.
Okay. Yeah, you got a long day tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about wraps up this episode of We Judge a Show by its pilot. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Judge Pilot Pod. We're also on Facebook. Leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments.
All right. I just have a few for this episode. I have the Canadian flag, of course. The rose, the grooms, the Pope. I think there's a Pope or some sort of religious.
There has to be.
Rain because it was storming. The hotel, the heart emoji for love.
Aww.
The ring, any of the spa emojis for his massage. The Statue of Liberty for
hand.
Alexis. Yeah. The Statue of Liberty for Alexis going to New York. The crying emoji because everyone was crying, including us watching it. The money and the envelope for the money he gave to the masseuse, and the nose for all of Alexis's boops that she gave everyone at the end. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.